Welcome to the Tell Us Ellis podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Good to be back at you recording this podcast today. This is going to be a shorter podcast. There's a couple things I want to talk about based on some things happening today and events today I want to talk about. I will come at you tomorrow or Monday for my regular weekly baseball ratings podcast. And then I'm currently setting up a regular cadence of doing these podcasts. So there's a set day that I'll be recording going forward just to keep everybody in the know, and I can get out something to you more regularly. It feels like it's been more of a weekly podcast, really focused on baseball, just going over power ratings. And there's so much more to talk about, whether it's today, very wrestling heavy, combat sports heavy with a UFC event as well. So a lot going on today, but there's also some other entertainment, pop culture things I want to talk about. So a lot more bring to you along those lines. But today I want to get into really three things. Obviously, it's WWE Backlash. I want to preview the card, give you my take on some things. Second, we have special AEW Collision today that I want to talk about. It's Fairway to Hell in Palm Beach, Florida, and a very unique setup. So I just want to touch on that briefly. And then I do want to touch on UFC 328 really briefly, which is today as well. Definitely going to be settled into my basement on my multiple screens, watching different events at the same time. Without further ado, let's get into each of these. I'm actually going to start with AEW Collision, and I want to talk about it just from a setup standpoint first. So as I told you, this is being handled or held at SoFi Center in Palm Beach, Florida, and this venue is specific to indoor golf. So it's been set up and created for the ability to play indoor golf. I forget the tournament that they have, but it's a legitimate tournament with professional players where you hit into a screen and it shows you a distance that you hit the ball. And then once you get close to the hole, then you can actually play it out. And that's that. So they're holding today's Collision. It's only 1 hour in this arena. And when I look at a picture of the arena, it is very odd. I think the ring is going to be set up in the middle of this greenery with stands that are pretty far out. So I don't think it's going to be the best viewing pleasure for an event like this, but I'm not certain. When I look at the numbers, so the setup in this arena is for 1,500 people in total. You can get 1,500 people in there. That is excluding suites and special seating areas, which probably adds another 500 to 600 seats. So 1,500 plus some additional suites. It's set up for AEW for 933 people. They've sold 897 tickets, so almost sold out what they have available. The cheapest ticket right now is $50, just over $50. So the setup is going to be really unique. A couple matches that have been announced. There will be a non-title women's tag team match between Divine Dominion, which is Lena Cross and Megan Bayne. They have not announced who they will fight yet, so I'm not certain who that will be. Again, it's a non-title match, so seeing more of just development of a feud or something like that. Or they could just put some jobbers out there and just have a very quick win for Divine Dominion. Actually, the more I think about it, the more I like that, just because it's going to save time. It gets a match on there. Yeah, I could see something like that happen. Maybe it's High-End and Maya World or something like that. Next, there's a singles match for the AEW National Championship. Jack Perry defending his title against Mark Davis. You know, I'm excited for this match. The last time I saw Mark Davis fight was against Will Ospreay. That was probably not the last time I saw him fight, but in a singles match, it may have been, and he did a really, really good job. I think Mark Davis is something special, and I think he's going to give Jack Perry a run for it tonight. I expect a really good match. I'm predicting it to be a 7. Again, my scale on rating these matches is 1 to 10, 10 being the best. That's how I measure everything on a 10-point scale. I predict that to be a 7. And then finally, we have the AEW World Championship is fighting Darby Allin. Darby Allin defending his title against Pac. That should be a fantastic match. Considering they've already booked out some matches for Darby Allin, I think he's going to keep the title. He's got Takeshita Okada coming up next week, I believe. And then he's got this match against MJF, a rematch that I assume is going to happen at Double or Nothing pay-per-view coming up on I believe it's the 20th of May. And that is a title versus hair match. So I think Darby is just going to keep winning it. He's had some really impressive matches, title defenses, and, I don't know if he'll hold it past Double or Nothing, but again, today I expect him to win against Pac of the Death Riders. So I wanted to talk about that first and get that out of the way. And again, I want to do a regular wrestling show to get more in depth of some of the things happening in the wrestling world. One thing I will mention on Dynamite last week, I thought Tony Khan and Sting did a really nice job of commemorating Ted Turner and what he meant to the wrestling business, Georgia Championship Wrestling, WCW. I mean, Ted Turner was a huge, huge figure in professional wrestling, maybe next to Vince McMahon since the 1980s. Maybe he is the second biggest figure. Now, you could argue that there are people like Hulk Hogan and so forth that were bigger. You could even say Eric Bischoff was up there, but Eric Bischoff doesn't happen without Ted Turner. So I thought they did a really nice, tasteful job celebrating Ted Turner. Really, really well done. Thought it was interesting yesterday on SmackDown, though. They start SmackDown by putting up a nice recognition of Ted Turner, and then they go right into the gingerbread man funeral scene. And it just felt really distasteful. And I almost wonder, Vince he was a rival of Ted for a long time, never liked the guy. Obviously, Vince isn't running the show anymore, but I almost felt like it was a slap in the face to Ted by going right into that gingerbread man funeral arrangement. I don't know how you all felt about that if you saw it. So that is it on AEW. All right, really briefly, I just want to talk about UFC 328. UFC 328 is coming from the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. When I look at the numbers for that, and by the way, this is headlined by Chimaev versus Strickland, and it's got a pretty decent card. That is for the UFC middleweight championship. Sean Strickland is fighting for that championship. Khamzat Chimaev currently holds the championship. There's also another title match, the flyweight championship, currently held by Joshua Van. Tatsuro Tierra is fighting for that championship. And then it's a good card. Alexander Volkov fighting Waldo Cortez Acosta. I think I saw Jim Miller on the card, a veteran who just shows up on many cards. So definitely one that I'm going to watch. But, going back to the venue and so forth at the Prudential Center. So it's set up, or the whole arena holds 17,395 people. It is set up for just shy of that, just over 17,000 people, 17,087. They currently have distributed 16,958 tickets. So for all intents and purposes, it's a sellout. Right now, if you want to buy one of those few remaining seats, 129 remaining seats, it'll cost you a minimum of $386. So, again, sellout, good crowd, good to see. I did spend time reading the 10K for TKO this week. They had an earnings call this week, and that's something else I want to bring to you a little bit more, is just the economics of combat sports, especially as it relates to TKO, since all that information is public information. So that is it for those two shows. Now I do want to get into Backlash, AEW Backlash tonight, the first pay-per-view since WrestleMania. 5 matches. Triple H typically likes 6 matches. There's 5 matches on this card. I wonder if they're going to try to end it a little bit early to give fans a chance to go over to the UFC card and see the main matches for that card. This one, I do not have the match order yet. I'm just going to go over them in the order that I think it could be. I'm going to say that the first match is going to be Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. This is a really good match. They've set it up well. This was set up before Seth Rollins went out with a shoulder injury. He comes back. These guys have been going at it for the last couple of weeks on Raw. It's a really interesting question as to who's going to win, because if you're Seth Rollins, where do you go if you lose from here? I don't know where you go. I don't know what would be a good, feud to get into. We'll get into Sami Zayn in a little bit. He's quickly turning heel, so maybe that's an option. But, where do you go if you're Seth Rollins and you lose? If you're Braun Breaker and you lose, you've got the world in front of you. If you win, you've got the world in front of you. So I'm really not certain on this one. It feels like Braun should go over probably more than anything. So that's what I'm thinking, but just not certain on this. And again, should be a pretty good match. My prediction is that it's a 7 rated match. That's just how I see it. I think the second match is going to be Asuka against Io Sky. I also gave this the 7 potential. I almost gave it an 8 because of what Io Sky can do in the ring, and Asuka can do a lot of things in the ring too. There's been all this talk about Kairi Sane being cut from WWE and a lot of pushback on that. I remember back a year or so ago when they cut R-Truth and ultimately they brought him back out of fan outrage. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I've not read anything that this is going to happen, but boy, wouldn't it be interesting if Kairi Sane somehow entered herself in this match just as Asuka's about to lose. And it looks like she is going to help Asuka, and then she turns around and helps Io Sky instead or something like that. Again, I would love to see that happen. I think it would be intriguing. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm just throwing that out there as something to watch, and we'll see what happens. Match number 3, Kit Wilson and The Miz against Danhausen and a to-be-named opponent. Boy, this has gone through the ringer over the past week. Who is going to be Danhausen's opponent? From a betting standpoint, the names that I've heard out there, and you can bet on this stuff for better or worse, the names that I've heard have ranged from CM Punk to Jelly Roll to Randy Orton to Joe Hendry to Mr. Iguana, and I will throw one more name in there, John Cena. Now, I completely don't think it'll be John Cena. John Cena is supposed to come out and make this very big special announcement. I think it's going to have more to do with this new WWE club that they are promoting and pushing. That's what my guess is. But if I just throw him out there, and it would be completely wrong if he wrestled, by the way, completely wrong if he wrestled after going through this whole retirement tour last year. So let's cross him off the list. I do not think that's going to happen. Out of the remaining individuals, I don't think it's going to be CM Punk. I think if CM Punk was going to be there, you would have advertised for him. You would have drawn more, just having his name on the card list. So I just can't see it being CM Punk. My money is on Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll still wants to stay involved in WWE. It's a great opportunity to get him involved in WWE, almost in a comic relief capacity with Danhausen. So my money's on Jelly Roll. Orton, I don't know his health currently. I know he had back issues, or he was purported to have back issues. I think that is actually a true story. I don't think it's Joe Hendry. Feels like an odd place to throw him in. And I think if you're the WWE, you want to promote Joe Hendry as more of a serious character. He's been having these issues with the vision, so I don't see that happening. Mr. Iguana, yeah, it's possible. I think the fans love Mr. Iguana. He was just on NXT this past week, but again, my money's on Jelly Roll in that match. Curious how everyone feels about this Danhausen thing. Does it have a shelf life? Does it get old after a while? Is everybody okay with it? I know they didn't use him appropriately in AEW. They hardly used him at all, but feels like he might be overused right now. So I'm just curious how you feel about that. And I want to tie that into something else, actually, this next match we're going to talk about, which is Trick Williams and Sami Zayn. By the way, I gave the tag team match with Danhausen, I'm projecting a 4 for it. I think it's going to be another 5-minute match or something like that. I just don't see it being a very serious match. Trick Williams, Sami Zayn for the United States Championship, currently held by Trick Williams. He beat Sami Zayn at WrestleMania for that title. They've used this gingerbread man gimmick now for the last couple of weeks, and I mentioned how at the beginning of SmackDown this week, they recognized Ted Turner and then went right into this gingerbread man funeral promo. The gingerbread man, at first it was funny, it was playful. And then, we've spent a lot of time on it, though. It just kind of has dragged on. This funeral skit this weekend took up a lot of time on the broadcast. I mean, I can't tell you how many little vignettes they used, the music. And I think about the wrestlers they just released, and it's like, you're using so much broadcast time on the Gingerbread Man skit. And I know it's not just the Gingerbread Man skit. It's to value this Trick Williams, Sami Zayn match. But boy, you could have put two more matches on SmackDown's card as opposed to carrying out as much as they did about the Gingerbread Man skit, not to mention as much as they carried on about the Danhausen stuff. So I'm being a little critical of it. Don't know if I like it. I want to get back to kind of real wrestling here. If you want to have one funny story, that's fine. But Danhausen and now the Gingerbread Man, I don't get it. Heck, maybe the Gingerbread Man resurrects himself and that's Danhausen's partner. Who knows? But getting to this match, Maybe this will be the end of the road for this match. I think Trick Williams retains. I think he needs the belt. Sami Zayn turning heel is clearly happening. Heel Sami with the United States Championship could be good, but I think you put and keep the belt on Trick and let him move on to the next segment. All right, that takes us to the main event. Roman Reigns, Jacob Fatu for the undisputed WWE Championship. They've built this up really nicely, I have to be honest. They've done a lot of storylines around this, a lot of stuff with the family. When you look at all the people involved in this, it's not just Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns. You have Jimmy and Jey Uso, the Usos, who have clearly been involved in this angle. You have Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga. Now Royce Keys was brought into it because Royce Keys is a friend of, they came up in the business together. They know what it's like to not have money and to pour blood, sweat, and tears into this business. And then this week on SmackDown, Royce Keys is getting recruited to My Family Tree by Solo Sikoa. And then they end up having a match, Tama Tonga versus Royce Keys. So they're involved. You know, you look at the others that have been involved in this. CM Punk had a match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Sami Zayn was part of the Bloodline at one point. The Rock has family ties. There's a lot that could happen here. I'm questioning whether we'll get a clean finish in this. I don't know if we will. Feels like to me that we won't. Feels like this could be dragged out quite a bit. I don't know if it can get dragged out to SummerSlam, but feels like it could get dragged out quite a bit. I think it could be a really good match. Unfortunately, I think the finish is just going to be tarnished. I gave it a 7 on my predictor, but again, I think there's going to be run-ins and feels like some lines are being drawn in the sand related to My Family Tree, the Bloodline, Royce Keys. It's just going to be interesting to see what happens, but it feels like this is a table setter for the next kind of big thing. Let's see. It's taking place at Tampa and at Benchmark International Arena. So this is a venue that holds a total of 18,000, just over 18,000 people. The current setup is for 14,878 people. They've distributed 14,220 tickets. There are 658 tickets available. So based on their setup, they're close to reaching that number. Let's see, the cheapest ticket right now you can find is $83.95. They have added some seats. They've added, let's see, I don't know exactly how many seats they've added, but kind of facing the entryway, they've added some seats in the middle and upper deck towards the left. So that's a good sign that they've sold a little bit more. They did run a show there back in December of 25. It was December 27th of 25. It was a house show, the WWE Holiday Tour. It drew 7,442 people. So for this PLE event, they're drawing about double of that. So I think that's pretty good numbers for this show. So that's it. I mean, that's what I have for this week. Previewing, again, mostly Backlash, but again, talking a little bit about Collision tonight, Fairway to Hell, and then also the UFC 328 event. More to come again, but for now, that's what's going on today. All right, thank you again for listening. Again, follow my show, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. Please follow me. Make sure you subscribe. Check the like button on the show. So again, please subscribe. More subscribers is great. Gets my content further out there. If you have questions, email me, jamie@tellusellis.com. Follow me on social media, TellUsEllisHQ. Until next time, thanks for joining the show. Take care.